I was the nice guy, and actually a comment that was made is, the nice guy never wins. But in the long run, the nice guy does win.
Is that, we talked about it before you came on, like your first ever love, how much does that hurt when you lose that
Hurts
person?
so much.
For those people out there that think it's good to lie, you always get found out.
Yeah.
So if you actually like a woman, the worst thing you can do is lie to her about your situation and what you're going to give her in the future.
The calmest man in the room always wins the argument.
Always.
People don't speak to people now. Like if you go to the gym, if you're on a train, if you're whatever, people are all down on their phones, heads down on their phones. It's like if you look at, say, especially in London, if you look at someone while you're on the tube and make eye contact with them, people just like physically try, or you say hi. God forbid you say hi to someone.
So, today, by the way, TikTok Live, we are also recording this as a high quality podcasting as well. We thought we'd bring it to you. You're gonna be live streaming every day, aren't you?
Yeah, literally every day I'm going to be doing live streaming. I think you guys know that I've been popping in and out. I have been doing it quite a lot anyway since we've came off the show. So yeah, very, very good. So you're going to see a lot of what's going on behind the scenes in my life. One
big thing that everyone's talking about, and it's something you and I have lots of internal discussions about. Like we've been friends now for a while.
Yeah.
Mentor, like helping you build your businesses out.
Yeah.
And one big thing that we agree on a lot, not everything, but is how men should behave and act.
Yes. Yeah.
And this conversation we want to talk about is going to be predominantly about men, but also very applicable to women too.
Yeah, of course.
And the way that we perceive the modern era of men hopefully shifting is something that you're hoping to really drive home to anyone that's watching.
Yeah.
Is that the fuckboy era is now over.
It's over. Fuckboy.
And Love Island was a massive example of that.
I think it was cool this year they actually really showed that light, that with certain conversations I had, that it was actually cool to put people that were fuckboys in their place. Whereas before, I think over the last few years on TV, it's almost became cool for younger men to be a fuckboy.
Well, it has been since I remember.
Yeah.
It's like it's always been cool to be the guy that fucks around,
Yeah.
sleeps with as many people as they possibly can. Like what I loved about this time was any time there was mention of anyone sleeping with anyone, people were actually offended at the number.
Yeah.
If it was too high.
Yeah.
Men and women. It's no longer like a badge of honor.
No.
In fact, it's actually the other way around, which I'm loving this transition.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, because like you said, it used to be so cool. It used to be the coolest thing. How high can you get your numbers? Used to be, but whereas now it's like, even when I say it now, I used to say it with pride. Now I don't even want to say it. I don't even want that word to come out of my mouth at any point. It's embarrassment.
I always thought, how cool would it be if everyone could walk around and you have that number above your head?
Oh no.
Would people be trying to put it up or keep it low?
I think if you actually knew, if you could actually see it.
People would keep it low.
Yeah, now, but maybe not before.
Well, it's debatable.
I don't know, like back in the day it used to be a badge of honour.
And the thing is as well, we say fuckboy because unfortunately there always has been the apparent differential that it's okay for men to sleep with a lot of women, but it's actually disgusting for women.
Yeah.
I completely fucking disagree.
Yeah, I agree.
I've never, ever respected any male that has come to me and was like, yeah, I've slept with X amount of people. I went to fucking Magaluf and they're trying to get as many women as they can.
Yeah.
What fucking game is that? How fulfilled are you really?
Yeah, it doesn't add any inches to your dick either. Like, I tried for a long time and it never did. It never added any inches, so what's the point? Do you know what I mean?
For me, okay, so obviously like in Love Island, you had several conversations with people, one of which was the whole Mitch incident.
Yeah.
Let's go straight into that, because for me that was an illustration of, in my opinion, someone that was, I think, actually confused. And I think a lot of people out there, if you were to ask many men, like, do you think it's actually fulfilling and actually in your favour to be a fuckboy? I would say they would say no. But there's a confusion that they think that's who they should be, and there's a societal pressure, and they think women actually want that.
Yeah.
And I think Mitch might just be confused, because I don't think deep down that he probably thought that that's a good thing, but he came across like a fuckboy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think that I just think that's all he knows. I think that's all he knows. And that's just the way he does it. And obviously with our chat that we had, I think I was just trying to actually help the situation, help him look into himself, help him better himself. Because if anyone in the villa, whether it be a boy, girl or whatever, I would have the same conversation with them. And he's almost like thought that I've got something against him now because of that. And I actually don't. I actually really like the guy. I think he's funny, but he's just got some morals and beliefs that just wouldn't even change. And I thought that conversation would have helped, but obviously it didn't go that way.
And what I always say about arguments is whoever loses their... Well, actually, I'll tell you, what do I say about arguments?
The calmest man in the room always wins the argument.
Always wins the arguments. But not only that, the person that gets irate typically is irate because they've lost control, because they've already lost the argument, because they know they're wrong.
Yeah.
And I think in that instance, you were able to hold your calm and be collected because you know deep down, and he knows deep down, that you were right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like for those that don't actually know, what was the incident?
So basically what had happened was he was picked a girl that he was in a couple with, but he was just, he'd already told other girls that he wanted to get to know them, and it was actually just really upsetting this girl because she started to really like him. He was feeding her false information to make her like him, but he didn't actually mean what he said. And I think that the girl just got so confused by the whole thing because he was saying one thing to her, but then acting in a completely different way. And his actions weren't obviously contributing to how he felt about her, and it was actually really upsetting the girl, like to the point where she was crying twice. And what actually happened on the show is that I actually got on with a lot of the girls very, very well, and I think they always felt they could come to me for advice. So she just happened to come to me for advice on that situation. Mm-hmm. I gave her my exact opinion of what I thought, and my opinion wasn't very... I thought that his intentions were wrong. And obviously she had then went back and told him that I thought this. So he felt that I was breaking bro code by telling her how I felt when she asked me.
Fuckboy code.
I didn't know there was a bro code. Like, is this in the Bible somewhere? Like, I don't know where to find this. Like, what is this bro code? So I was just basically saying, look, if someone comes to me and asks me for their advice, I'm not going to lie to them just because we're two men. Like, am I not? Because we're two men, I'm not allowed to tell a woman how I feel about that situation. I'm meant to back you up just because you're another man. Doesn't really make sense. So what my point was is there's no bro code, there's right and there's wrong. And yeah, it just obviously never went down too well with him.
So there's two things here for me. The definition of a real man is one that is honest in the face of short-term pain.
Yep.
So I have yet to find a situation in my life where it has been advantageous to tell a lie to avoid someone hurting their feelings short term.
Absolutely.
Because what it always does is exacerbates that problem later down the line, and it's only that you are a fucking coward that you are unable to say that to someone, hurt their feelings knowing it's for their better.
Yep.
You're hurting them more for your own self-interest because you're making yourself feel better that you don't have to deal with this, the guilt of the thing that you've already hurt them with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is a true man. Someone that can do that.
Yeah.
My dad actually said that to me. It's one of the things I've carried with me all my life. He said, real men don't lie.
Yeah.
That's in business, that's in friendship, that's in relationships, that's with your kids. Even if it's going to hurt them in the short term, it's always for the better long term.
Yeah.
There's never been a situation where I found any different.
Yeah.
And that's what you were saying to him.
Yeah.
And as bro code should be, pulling a fucking friend up when he's not doing that.
Yeah.
Because that is cowardice and that is not a real man.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I was trying to do. I was actually trying to say...
He had his back.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to make you look into yourself, be a better person for it. Because, get nothing twisted, I'm not the perfect man. I'm sure you've not been as well.
Fucking right I haven't. I've learned the hard way.
Yeah.
I have done the lies,
Yeah.
I've been a fuckboy,
Yeah.
and realised that it did nothing but hurt my feelings, hurt everyone else's feelings, and actually end up very fucking lonely.
Yeah, absolutely. And he just at that point, he was just not willing to look into himself at all. He just wasn't. And I just think that he was too busy trying to look into what I had done by actually telling her what I thought when she asked me, rather than what he had actually done to make her cry twice. And I said, as soon as he shifted his mindset to actually focus on what he'd done to her rather than what I'd done, it would actually solve the problem.
Literally.
It would have solved the problem. Why are you making this girl cry? And that's just not the way he was looking at it. It was just like, you shouldn't have told her.
And also, by the way, anyone that knows about relationships or getting women to find you attractive,
Yeah.
the only way that you can really win someone over is you win their friends over.
Yeah.
Especially in Love Island, right? It's an amplification of real life.
Yeah.
So you're all in a villa together, day in, day out. That's not real. What it is a simulator for what can actually happen at a more concentrated degree. So if you really want to make a girl like you, let's say you fancied someone else,
Yeah.
you don't upset the one person in the friendship group because they'll all gang up and talk negatively about you.
Yeah.
The best dating advice I can ever give anyone is if you fancy someone, win their friend over first.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
It's the same way as if I wanted to get into business with someone and their wife was a big impact, or their dad, or their family.
Yeah.
I invite them to the meeting because they're my focus, not you, because they will confide in them for advice because they'll always go to the counsellors and advisors. And if you've upset the whole fucking group, you've lost everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, I think that another good point about like obviously focusing on the fuckboy side of things, I think why it did become so popular is because I think a lot of things the guys were saying to me in the villa, funnily enough, is obviously we went on a few weeks, there was a Georgia situation, obviously she was unsure what she wanted, I was the nice guy, and actually a comment that was made is, the nice guy never wins. But in the long run, the nice guy does win. And you've actually got quite a strong opinion on that as well, don't you? About like obviously why Georgia warmed up over that show.
Yeah, so we've dissected this. Like I come from like a marketing background. I come from a business background, and part of that is understanding people and how they work, especially women.
Yeah.
Right. I'm in a long-term relationship. Like I said, I'm married now. Right. So what I've realised through my relatively short but quite filled relationship experience is that women will truly start to like someone who ticks way more boxes than just excitement.
Yeah.
And my opinion on UNG is that I actually don't think she was that attracted to you to start with.
No.
From a physical standpoint.
Yeah.
I think she liked you as a person, she thought you were a good guy.
Yeah.
But and I think that could have been almost two ways, but there was definitely not like this overwhelming lust.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, which is dangerous actually because it masks a lot of other things. But the reason, in my opinion, she started to develop feelings towards you is because what she suddenly realizes is that, we'll go into this in a bit as well, she's unfortunately had a string of fuckboys.
Yeah.
Right, and she's more recently, I don't need to talk about too much about it, but had a really bad fuckboy, effectively, right? And it's damaged her in the sense of she's lost her trust. And this is why, and we'll go into this, why men shouldn't be fuckboys, because you're fucking up for everyone else and you're damaging the women that you love and should be respecting.
Yeah.
And what's happened is she's so defensive and had her guard up in there because the last thing she wants to do is let her walls down again and be fucked over by a fuckboy who is a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
Pretending to be something that is not. Pretending to care about her, speaking behind her back, chatting to other women. That's what she's worried about. So instantly, I actually don't think it would have been you or anyone else. She would have had the same issues because she's been damaged by fuckboys before.
Yeah.
And what's happened is because you are not one anymore, I know you said you've tried that in the past, like we've all been there and done it. You realise that is not what it's about and actually not the way to win a woman over. She suddenly realised that actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
You've been there consistently. You've done what you said you were going to do. You've respected her. You've been a gentleman to her. You've cared for other people and her friends and other men because they watch everything. Yeah. Right? And she can't help but start ticking boxes in her mind of actually, this guy is now the opposite of what I was hope he wasn't. He's proving himself to me, and women fall for that hard.
Yeah.
And she developed, in my opinion, feeling very quickly because of that. Yeah. And this isn't just G, by the way. This is any woman. Yeah. And just because someone doesn't instantly find you 10 out of 10 want to take you to bed doesn't mean that that's not wife material.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's your opinions on that?
No, I totally agree, and I think you just triggered something in my head there where you said obviously a man obviously pretends to be something that they're not and sells the women the dream effectively, and then they're not that. And I feel that was actually the incident with the person that actually came into the villa, that she was hoping would come into the villa, they would sort it, she had this in the back of her head, and it never worked out that way. And when he actually came into the villa, I think she actually seen his true colours for what he was, rather than what he was selling to her. And that's dangerous, because when you're selling like the dream to someone, and then you don't fulfill it, like you're actually hurting someone in the process. And I feel that that's totally what happened. And as soon as that situation sort of, she said actually at a point, she was like, I was looking at him and I'm looking at you, and I'm just like, what am I doing here? Like, Anton is like miles above this guy, miles above it. But she'd already fallen. So it was it was like such a hard thing. So she's battling her feelings here with what she should actually be going for. So yeah, that was an interesting one. I think that was a big factor in her journey as well. Because as well with her journey, I think she always knew that this guy was coming in that she actually really cared about. That's Casey, by the way, just so you know. Yeah, that she really cared about. She was starting to like me as the process was going on, but she didn't want to hurt me because she cared about me. So that's why we kind of slowed things right down. But then she wanted to go with Mitch because she was basically just said along the lines of like, oh, I could easily fuck this guy over, do you know what I mean? Like, because he's that type of guy, and she's like, I could drop him like a sack of potatoes, basically. And yeah, that's why that whole situation happened. So yeah, like I just feel like the whole thing was actually really good this year because I think it did allow younger guys in particular to see that, nah, that's how a real man should be. And, you know, a lot of the boys were putting a lot of pressure on me throughout the whole thing, saying, you're being silly, like she's making you look like a mug, like you're just there to fall back on. But because I believe I'm a man now and I know my own values, I don't need to be justified by, okay, if she does drop me, I'll learn the hard way, that's fine. But I knew she had to go through that experience to then come back to me. So that was all worth it in the end, and obviously our relationship's probably the best it's ever been now. Yeah.
Why do you think there's been a shift this year specifically with Love Island and their focus towards that? Because it definitely was made much clearer that that wasn't cool anymore. Like, what do you think the reason is?
I just think because, can I be honest, without it sounding in like a cocky, I think because I dealt with that argument so well, and the points that I put across were so valid, that could not be aired. And I think when that was aired, people were like, this actually makes a lot of sense. And I think that's what it was a lot about. Because obviously there was situations in there where guys did do certain things that probably we don't necessarily agree with. But that I do think that was just such a big moment in the show this year. That's why a lot of attention went to that. And that's why I feel like now after the show, it's very important that we keep that going and keep that momentum going about that sort of thing, because it isn't cool, because like you said, you're not just hurting the person that you're with at that point, you're hurting their future relationships going forward. So I mean, I've seen it several times. Well, look at the situation with G, for example. I'm almost having like a broken person coming into the relationship that I'm having to heal before we can actually move on in our relationship. Our relationship maybe would have progressed a lot faster if she never had all that healing to do prior to it. So you're actually affecting their relationships going forward, and they might never trust anyone ever again. So you're affecting their whole life effectively, not just by that one fuckboy act that you do. You're actually fucking someone's life up fully.
People really don't understand the consequences and the emotional impact that playing with love.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound like a cheesy love guy, but love is a very strong emotion. Yeah. It's very hard to define, but one thing I can say is that we talked about this before you came on. Like, your first ever love.
Oh man.
How much does that hurt when you lose that
Hurts
person?
so much.
The point being is, I've yet to find a more potent emotion. And with emotion comes damage when it's torn.
Yeah.
And it's your responsibility as a man and a woman, both parties, to not neglect that power. With great power comes great responsibility, right? And anyone that's in a powerful position with any human's emotions needs to respect that.
Absolutely.
And like you say, that might be for them and yourself. It might be for the fact that you just want to respect that woman and not damage her for the future.
Absolutely.
And I know men that have had the same damage done to them. It's a mindful thing that both parties need to go through. And we've all been there and felt it, some to greater or less degrees.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
No, it's the worst pain. Like, I think that's genuinely the worst pain.
So how the fuck can you be a high value man and act like a fuckboy knowing that you could do that to someone else, and having had it done to yourself or seen it done to other people, or had the consequences of it when you've actually had to then try and reverse that damage and come over those hurdles, then act like a fuckboy and think it's okay?
Yeah.
Why has that become fucking cool?
I think it's sometimes, I can only speak from...
Excuse my French.
No, it's fine, don't worry about it. We're going to get banned on TikTok lives, but it's fine.
Elliot's mouth is
No,
a bit
it's true,
wild.
but
It just
I think,
pisses me off.
I think when you talk about topics like this, we are very, very passionate about it, so it's going to come out in that way. But what I do think with what you're saying is, how can you do that? I think it's like a defence mechanism. It's like, well, I've been hurt in the past, so if I do it to someone else, then they can't do it to me, kind of thing. Or if they do, it doesn't matter because I was doing it anyway. And I think that's the way a lot of people think, and it's just not right.
I think that real men, because a lot of people talk about being real men. They talk about, like, fuckboys talk about being real men because, like I said, they've got the notches under their belt because they've slept with so many women. A real man is that someone that sets a fucking example for other men to follow in good footsteps. That's honest, it's integral, it's authentic. It's someone that holds up to their promises and is true to someone. This is the other thing as well. For those people out there that think it's good to lie, you always get found out.
Yeah.
So if you actually like a woman, the worst thing you can do is lie to her about your situation and what you're going to give her in the future. Because that is a one surefire way to either piss them off or get rid of them entirely.
Yeah.
Under promise and over deliver.
Yeah.
If you really want to find a high value woman, under promise and over deliver.
But that's the problem is when people go into a relationship, they do the exact opposite. They overperform and under deliver, because what they do is when you really like someone, you know, you literally go above and beyond the person you actually are for them, and then you can't keep that up throughout the rest of your relationship.
So I think a lot of it comes from being a fuckboy, actually comes from the fact that they're not confident in themselves enough to actually be who they are thinking that that's not going to attract someone.
Yeah.
So if you're in a position where you think you have to be something you're not and be a fuckboy to attract a woman, go and become a better man first.
Yeah. Well, do you know
Go back to the drawing board.
Do you know what's good, funny about that, though, what you said? Whereas a lot of people have come off the show this year, and a lot of people are like, how's Anton not getting anyone? Like, we don't understand it at all. He's got all the values, all the morals. He's this, he's that. How's he not getting someone? And do you know what people's answer is to that? Too nice. And people told me, they're like, Anton's too nice. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to change who I am. I'm just a caring person. I like to look after people. I like to give them it. And if that's too nice for someone, they don't want that, then they don't want to be with
I actually had a question earlier that we got asked, and it was, I'm a 19-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Should I be focusing more on building my skill set or women? And my answer to that, first of almost, is if you think you are in a position where, like, women is one is important to you, finding someone is important to you, and you don't feel like you have the confidence, skill set to be a high-value man for that woman, go back to the drawing board, get skilled, get confident, so that when you turn up and you meet a woman, you can be exactly who you are in the confidence that she's going to find that attractive because you have earned it. And, like, if you are a fucking loser, you will not attract a woman, period. So go work on that. Like, not being a fuckboy and still being a loser isn't a way to get a woman. You still have to be someone with something to offer. So if you are a 19-year-old male, and I don't know, I'm not talking for you, but it's unlikely you've got much under your belt in terms of experience and everything else, you're probably not going to be that desirable to a long-term partner. And if that's the case, the solution isn't going to lie and be an arsehole. It's go to improve your skill set, become a financially stable male, be someone that doesn't lie, that can be honest even if it hurts short term. Literally be someone that can support and provide and hold up to your own promises so that you can be confident enough around someone that they trust in you because you trust in yourself. Because I'll tell you one thing, the most seductive trait is confidence. And confidence comes from a place of starts with, because people ask you this, like, how do you become confident? In my opinion, confidence predicates from the ability to not let yourself down. Because if you aren't confident in your own ability, no one else is going to be confident in you. So, for example, even menial things like I'm going to wake up in the morning and make my bed. When you wake up in the morning, you don't make your bed, you've let yourself down. It's little, but what that does is manifests over time, and your subconscious starts to learn, oh, I'm going to go for a run at 5 a.m. in the morning. Alarm goes, you stay in bed because it's a bit difficult. You do that enough, your subconscious, your psyche starts to realize that you don't actually do what you say you're going to do to yourself. So therefore, a lack of confidence starts to become poisonous and spread throughout you, which then becomes part of your personality, so that when you say things, people can smell it a mile off because you aren't confident, because you know that you can't back up what you say to yourself. So therefore, no one's confident in your ability to do anything, even yourself. So if you want to be internally confident and do that to a female, start with not letting yourself down before you even start letting someone else down.
Yeah. How can you bring someone else into your life and expect to like look after them, support them, etc. if you can't even do it for yourself?
100%.
Absolutely.
And what would you say to that? Because I know you spent a lot of time honing in your skill set. What do you class as a high value man, actually?
A high value man. So for me personally, I just always thought that like I went through a lot of stages where I probably wasn't the best version of myself for my partner in a lot of ways, made a lot of mistakes when I was younger. And I think that I realised I actually need to take time aside to heal myself, better myself in a lot of ways, and then I'm ready to bring someone else into my life. And that's why it was kind of nice to do Love Island at 2 completely different ages. I think at 24, I wasn't like the full version of myself, and obviously I'm still growing and learning, but I wasn't complete and I didn't know what I wanted or anything like that. I didn't know who I was, and that's probably why I never found the right person. Whereas now I know exactly what I want, what I'm after, I know who I am as a person, and I just think that now, like you say, that confidence is in me for what I want. But regards to your question of what I expect from like a high quality man, good morals and beliefs and values, but what does that actually mean? So I suppose, I don't know, it's just a case of being able to look after someone fully, giving a lot of love, supporting them, and just caring for them, being loyal. Loyalty is probably the main one. Loyalty is massive, and you shouldn't even have that as a trait. That shouldn't even be a questionable thing. It should just be there. Like but why is that a trait you're looking for? That should just be there, full stop. Loyalty. Like you're in a relationship, it's not a hard thing not to cheat on your partner. Like that should just be standard. But it's just got so, I think just in this day and age, I don't know what it is. I think that in people's heads, they're too exposed to too much these days. So we live in a world of social media where people can see other people's relationships. They can see other people of the opposite sex on social media where they look up to them, they're attracted to them, whatever it may be. And it makes them doubt their relationship with their partner rather than just being in that, and they always think the grass is greener. So I do think that that's why there's a lot of dishonest relationships going around now. I really do, and I think that as well, people look up to certain relationships they maybe see on social media, and they think, oh, that's the perfect relationship. My relationship's not like that. But really, what a lot of people put in social media isn't actually real life. They're not posting the day they argued with their partner, are they? So it's quite interesting with the whole Love Island thing as well, because it seemed to be, as soon as me and G started having arguments or anything like that, that's normal in a relationship, by the way, it was almost like our relationship was fake or it wasn't real. If anything, that's more real because you care about each other a lot. So you're passionate about it, so you have arguments, that's normal. But it's almost sometimes, I think, younger people look into like Love Island and things, and it has to be the perfect relationship. No relationship's perfect. You have to work on things. And I feel like within that sort of time frame, me and G every time we had an argument, like we got better. Because we knew a button that we pressed that we knew we wouldn't press that again, or we knew how to compromise and communicate of what the issue was there, and we were able to move forward. Personally, I feel like we're in like a really good position with our relationship at this moment. Like it's really good now since we came off the villa as well, come out. You've actually got to experience, and also from her perspective and your perspective, we know that the villa is quite often a game playing arena. Yeah.
People are dishonest. They're in there for a short period of time and can be someone they're not.
Yeah.
You've come out of it and both of you are still the same person with one another, which is obviously reassuring to you both, which is obviously reinforced to her that you are actually the man that she hoped you were.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's obviously driving things to be even stronger right now.
Absolutely.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Should we get some questions?
Yeah, but before that, I think it would be nice if you can introduce yourself to the live instead of a lot of questions.
Who the hell am I? Sorry, people. I'm Elliot Wise.
Yeah.
I originally met Anton, Anton, you approached me, because I run a mentorship, and I help guys like Anton and just the average person build a better life for themselves, which I believe that everyone should be able to with the right skill set. And Anton came to me, and he's obviously seen the people that I work with and help grow their businesses, and was like, can you work with me, Elliot? I said, well, totally honest, mate, not normally the influencers for me normally aren't my favourite people.
Yeah.
Just because they lack a lot of substance, and most of them are fuck boys.
Yeah.
To be totally honest.
Yeah.
And like, I don't work with men, specifically men, who are that way inclined, because the way they treat their partner is a real indicator to me of how they're going to treat their business partners and also how they're going to treat their customers.
Well, that's a good point, actually. Based on that, I know we're kind of jumping a little bit here, but if you can literally cheat on the one person that's meant to be your everything, your best friend, they're meant to be everything all in one. If you can cheat on them, what can you do to just one of your normal mates or someone you barely know?
So I had a business partner who I went out to China with, and we both were going to make a huge deal. We had factories set up, the whole 9 yards. While we were in China, we decided to go to Thailand to look at some other factories. And when we were in Bangkok, I knew this guy was married with kids. He told me what happens in Bangkok stays in Bangkok. And he went to BJ bars. He went to see prostitutes.
Yeah.
I was mortified because, as you said, if a man can treat the one person on the planet that he should love and cherish the most, and he even had kids with,
Yes.
can treat his wife like that, how do you think he's going to treat me?
Yeah.
And the customers that we're both going to have together.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate betrayal, the ultimate disloyalty, and the ultimate signal to me that this is not the person to get into business with, and I cut ties.
Yeah.
There and then.
Yeah.
I will not get into business with someone like that.
I totally agree.
So who the hell am I? That is me, Elliot Wise,
Yeah, so...
and I love him like a brother now.
Yeah, we're very, very good friends now. It's a little bit deeper than that. But Elliot's someone I look up to massively, just in a lot of ways, just in life, his morals, his values, his business, his everything. And we've been working together now for God, since April, May?
May last year,
Nearly last year,
yeah.
nearly a year now. But what's been nice along the journey is we've obviously become very good friends. And it's funny because me and Elliot talk, we kind of laugh about this a lot, where we're like, we literally have no friends, like literally no friends. But it's just because, like, I think we've got such high standards in a way of what we expect from people, and just a lot of people let us down in a lot of ways, because, I mean, we've both been fucked over a lot in our lives by certain people. And I think it's funny because I think yours is more from, as if you don't mind me saying this, but more because you've got this life and you've got, financially very, very secure.
You
And I
can
think,
say whatever you want.
Yeah,
Right,
you're
man.
absolutely financially secure, and I think people like leech off of that. Whereas on the other edge, for me, it was very much like I got the fame quite young, and I think people were leeching onto that, so you never know who to
Well, I
trust.
think Anton and I were kind of naturally drawn to one another because, as Anton said, I have Lamborghinis, Bentleys, big houses, all the materialistic stuff. Which, by the way, I don't use to promote. I do it because that's what I wanted to do, and I built what I wanted to build. But with that comes exploitation of that. Even people that work for you that are there to try and take as much as they can from you.
Yeah.
And I am someone, as modest as this sounds, that tries to give and help as much as possible. Because I've actually always found the more I give, the more I receive.
Yeah,
always, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm a big believer in that. That's been hammered into me from my grandparents and my parents. Like, if you give out a lot, you solve a lot of problems, you help a lot of people, a lot comes back, and it always does.
Yeah.
That's always been my philosophy. But with that attitude, you get hurt a lot. So I'm quite defensive, and I have barriers up when I meet new people. And I tend to find that when I meet new people that are trying to get involved, their intentions are normally pretty sinister. What I found with Anton is he was coming from another end where he had something to offer, i.e. his attention, his fame, who he was as a person. And because of that, he was experiencing similar stuff from people that wanted to monetize and exploit you for monetary purposes.
Yeah.
We met each other, but we both had the thing that the other person always wanted from them.
Yeah.
So I felt comfortable that you weren't there trying to
Take something off
from me.
Yeah, I
And
felt the same.
I had obviously the financial backing, so I wasn't there trying to make money off of you. So we both felt comfortable in one another's presence.
Yeah.
And as a result, we both felt much freer and more open to start building, helping you build your business and giving you my time.
Yeah.
And it's obviously, you're just a fucking awesome guy because we both have similar morals. And this is why we wanted to do this talk.
Yeah.
Because the fuckboy era has come to an end.
Yeah.
And I hope that Anton and I can be the spark of something where we really promote that if you want to be a better person and get what you really want out of life, that's only damaging it.
Yeah.
And other people around you.
Yeah.
In a big way.
Yeah. I think that's what people are actually noticing now is that, like, mine and G's relationship is just going from strength to strength now. Like, from strength to strength. And it's actually, I'm kind of glad it's went the way it went. I know a lot of people didn't get it in the beginning. Any other questions on there?
In this day and age, a lot of people are on social media, obviously, and that's their whole life. How would you approach both of you actually, people outside of social media?
The fact that that's even a question's bad. Like the prerequisite to meeting someone else is
I
not social
know.
media.
It's like social media would be the
Well,
first
I
go
think
to.
the new generation, mate, like the 19-year-olds of today, that's what they know.
Yeah.
They're insular. They didn't. I mean, you're a little bit younger than me, but we grew up with. I don't know if anyone else was here, but I grew up in like. Social media came about when I was in my teens.
Yeah.
It was like Bebo,
Yeah.
MySpace.
Send love.
Yeah, you send love, nudging people. You used to have a best friend on Bebo.
Other
Half
half.
the people in there don't know what Bebo is.
Oh, that was, we were talking about that though. You had your other half.
Yeah, you had your
And then
half.
you would have like your top friends.
And then
See if you ever moved that about, that caused murders. That would cause murders back in the day.
it was like, it's worse than like a government election.
Oh,
that was.
wow.
That was, yeah. So, I mean, we came around in that day and then we had a live chat MSN.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We used to log in and have a live
MSN,
chat.
yeah.
But you used to have to log in. It wasn't on the other end of the phone. I had a phone that used to send 12p text. So, you know, when you're growing up, 12p text, to waste someone 12p on someone, had to be an important person.
Yeah.
So you really thought about the message and it had a character limit. So you were like rewriting the thing all day. Yeah. And if someone texts you like, they've spent 12p on me, it's important. So, point being is, these guys now, they all meet each other through social media, men and women. Like, how do you meet? How would you say for these young kids, or even like adults now, because they've almost forgotten?
Yeah.
How do you? Because obviously Love Island is different to that. You're actually forced in a position where you have to meet these people. What's the trick for you?
You just need to be out and about in certain places. That's where you would meet people, I suppose, isn't it? Just when you're out and about. But people don't speak to people now. Like if you go to the gym, if you're on a train, if you're whatever, people are all down on their phones, heads down on their phones. It's like if you look at, say, especially in London, if you look at someone while you're on the tube and make eye contact with them, people just like physically try, or you say hi. God forbid you say hi to someone. Like, do you know what I mean? So I just feel like people don't communicate with each other properly in real life.
No, it is a problem. But what I will also say as well is, there's a lot of like anti-social media people out there, like anti-communication, and like they're quite disregarding of this new generation. Now, unfortunately, or fortunately, the phone is not going anywhere.
No.
Social media is not going anywhere, and we have to embrace it. The same with technology and everything else that we've adopted. We're not still driving around on horse and cart, even though back in the day people didn't like motor cars.
Yeah.
It gets there eventually. And what we have to do is embrace it and then figure out the way to use that tool for the benefit of what we're trying to get out. So rather than say, right, okay, well, I don't want to use it, because that might just be the method in which we do things now, because it is the new era. Kids that are brought up with it, it is here to stay. It's not going to change.
Yeah.
So I think it's a hybrid of it. And I also think now that if I'm going to meet someone in social media, the encouragement should be to meet them outside as fast as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think people use that as a wall to stay behind for a long period of time, and then you become so anxious about venturing out and actually meeting that person.
Yeah.
The longer you wait to meet that person outside of social media, the harder it will be.
Yeah.
Because it becomes something more than it actually is. And then both sides become anxious about it. I mean, how many people out there that have been chatting to someone, there's probably loads on this live stream right now,
For
or watching
weeks.
this on camera.
Weeks, months.
Years, that have been chatting to someone else that they like and have been putting it off because they've left it too long.
Yeah, that's happened.
So I would say don't go out with the intention of like not meeting someone on social media, because it's actually a really good tool to find someone.
Yeah.
But make sure you meet up with them really quick so you rip that band-aid off and you actually don't lose the skill. Because at some point, I presume and hope that you did intend to meet the person that you want to marry in person, right?
Yeah.
Let's make that assumption.
Yeah, you would imagine that would be a thing.
The prerequisite for that is actually meeting them in person. So a good thing would be to get to them as fast as possible.
Yeah.
But maybe not trying to just avoid social media to meet them. I think that's really leveling. Like
That ain't
what you're
gonna
doing
happen.
is you're then not using the tool that's actually been put there to help you find
Yeah.
someone. I think it's a great tool. You just got to use it properly.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree, actually. Totally agree with that. But you're right. There is a point sometimes where you have been speaking to someone for so long. And then
What they look like.
Yeah, have you ever done it like where you meet someone at the gym, for example, right? And you don't get their name at first. And then you just start speaking to them for like months. And then you're just like, shit, I actually don't know your name. And then it gets past the point of feeling like, I can't ask you now. I've been speaking to you for a year. And I feel that that's exactly what that's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Don't digital zone yourself.
But do you know what's quite ironic about that, what you said there though, is I've been in situations before where I have been speaking to someone on social media, and then if you tried to meet up too early as well, that's strange.
Yeah, it's getting it right.
It's getting the balance.
Getting it right, so it might be a bit stalkerish.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit keen.
But I mean, if you're talking to someone with that intention, surely the sooner you meet, the better. Like,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. If
sooner.
you like someone, it should be a good filter.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a search function and a filter. if you want to be quite critical about it, of someone that you might like. And it just gives you a bigger pool to find people in a faster way.
Yeah. It's quite mad though, actually, after Love Island, it's the complete opposite. So when we got off the plane on Wednesday last week, I had to actually say to G, I was like, oh babe, can I get your number? Like, I was like, I need to text you. Do you know what I mean? It was the opposite. But it's nice. It was actually nice the way it's done, but I know that that's not an unreal environment as well. But I feel like Love Island in particular and shows like that, they actually force you to get to know people that you potentially wouldn't get to know, whether that be from a friendship standpoint or a love standpoint. It does. It actually forces you into really deeply getting to know the person, because you are, let's face it, you're on an island with 5 other people of the opposite sex. So let's face it, in the world we live in today, your options are open. There's a lot more people you can go for. So you don't specifically like give it that chance with that one person you could have actually developed something with, because you've got so much more option. Whereas in Love Island, your options are limited, so you get to know people. That's the whole point for taking people for chats. You get to know them, and then you get to know them deeper as the process goes on, and then you actually can start to fall for that person, just even though you weren't initially attracted to them in the beginning, which is mad. And that's the way it should be, though.
Yeah, I agree. Love that.
Beauty's only skin deep, guys.
Well, since we're on the topic of social media, do you think that social media has actually ruined strong love that might have been before that?
Do I think social media has ruined strong love? No. Love as an emotion is an underpinning human psychological natural instinct that we almost have and nurture over time. Once you have strong love, it doesn't go anywhere. I don't think it's ruined it. I think what it does is actually expose people that aren't in love. Because a lot of people think they're in love. Yeah. But someone that's in love isn't looking on social media for someone else. They'll blame social media that they got messaged by women. They saw like 10 out of 10s online. Yeah. Trust me, when you fully fucking love someone,
you don't see anyone else.
You might see them, but you do not want them.
No,
you don't desire them because you love what you have at home. Yeah. 100%. So what social media has done, in my opinion, is actually expose the fact that most people actually aren't in love.
Yeah, give people an easy route out as well.
So like, look, if it basically roots out the fucking fakers.
Yeah, yeah.
And it also expose, if you're seeing that, ask yourself the question, yeah, you might be a male that's not acting upon it, but if you start to see other women and you're thinking about it, and you like the idea of it, is this true love? Are you happy at home? Yeah. Because like I said, I don't think social media would ever ruin that. What it does is expose it. And we can use that as signals, one, to find people out, and secondly, to maybe find yourself out. Yeah. As to whether or not this is good. I think that's a really important thing to note. And I think what I like is social media is not necessarily a negative, it's an amplification of normality. So we can see things much faster. We can do things much quicker. We can actually use it as a very good tool. Yeah. But it gets all the bad rap. But who uses social media? Humans. Yeah. So why is social media getting the blame when it's humans doing it? Yeah, it's like blaming a gun. A gun that sat there doing nothing doesn't kill someone. Yeah. The human that picks it up and kills someone with it is the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. But people like easy excuses out, don't they? They don't never like to look into themselves.
This is the problem. So another high value man, anyone out there, male and female, owns their own shit.
Owns their shit. Literally owns their shit. I mean, the moment you do that, like, I just don't think, you can't be wrong. We can all make mistakes. We're not Jesus. Like, we can make mistakes.
Talk for yourself, mate. I'm true. God.
That's true, to be fair. This man's farts even smell nice. But yeah, no, I think that's something I've learned in myself as I've got older, is to be able to take that accountability in yourself. And the sooner you do that, the sooner you can better yourself.
You've always done that. One thing I love about Anton, and you saw that on Love Island as well, is that he always admits when he's wrong.
Yeah, always. Always.
Always admits when he's wrong, but it also means that when you do claim that you're right, people respect it. Yeah. And people respect you a lot more, because no one likes someone that claims that they're right even when they know and everyone else knows that they're wrong. Yeah. Who else out of the guys in Love Island that you went in with this time, out of all of them, who do you think had the most integrity outside of yourself, that you liked the most? And that's not to say the others didn't.
Just the most. Tom and Callum.
Tom and Callum.
Yeah, Tom and Adam as well. I would say. They were like my type of guys. They were like real, they felt like real men. Like, they know what they want, they've got good values, they've got good morals, and yeah, they're just not interested in, like, they're just good people and they don't want to fuck anyone over, like, in any way, whether that be a friend or a woman in that respect, you know, or a partner. They just don't want to fuck people over. They're good people. And that's really what it comes down to in a lot of ways as well. Like, it's just being a good person. If everyone adopted that mindset, then it'd be a much better place we live in. Much better.
That's awesome. Any other questions?
Of course. Going away from the love topic, the question for both of you is, what is your opinion on brotherhood before women?
That's good, actually, leading on from what we just talked about.
Yeah.
Brotherhood before women. Thoughts?
Is that what it said? Brotherhood before women?
Yeah. What's your opinions on it?
There's right and there's wrong. Full stop. So I think with that, is that like taking your friend's side over a woman's side?
Well, let's interpret it as you want, because that's quite a vague question.
Yeah. I think from that, it's like do you back your friend up even if they're in the wrong? That's what I'm kind of getting from that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you came to me and something had happened with Hannah, but I felt like you were in the wrong, I would tell you. Because just because I'm your brother doesn't mean that I'm going to just lick up your arse and tell you you're right when you're wrong. Because if I tell you you're wrong, you'll look into yourself and you're more likely to sort it. That's what I think. Whereas that's very similar to the situation we talked about on Love Island with the bro code. I think it's more brotherly to help them better themselves by telling them you fucked up or you've done wrong.
100%. I think a real man that will respect another real man for telling him and pulling him up on his shit.
Yeah.
Because that will help that man become a better man.
Yeah.
And that man will own his shit because a real man takes accountability for his shit.
Yeah.
So, in essence, that situation is a test to really see if, one, your friend's a real man and you're a real man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing is as well, then when your friend does tell you good stuff, then you actually believe it. They're not just blowing smoke up your arse for the sake of it. It's very much like my mum. I know if she's something good to me, it must be good because, like, she will tell me if I've done something wrong. Same as you. I know if I've, like, when I came off Love Island, I know if I'd done anything wrong or not right. You would tell me.
Okay, here's an extension of this. So there's going to be people watching this that go, well, okay, what if you've then got a girlfriend or a wife and you're going out with your boys?
Yep.
Right? But she's constantly nagging at you.
Yep.
Right? That you shouldn't be going out, this, that, and the other. Because this is the other flip side of this. Who's in the wrong then if you don't go out with your mates and your mates know that she's not good for you? Let's just say, for argument's sake, the woman's not great for you.
Yeah.
And they know that. And they've told you that as bros, she's not good for you. And she's nagging you out. Do you put her first, do you put them first?
So you stand to keep your partner happy rather than going out with the boys, even though you shouldn't.
Because she's guilt tripping you.
I think you need to establish what is the reason that she feels that way about you going out. Is it just because she thinks that... Have you given her a reason to not trust you going out? First and foremost. That's what you need to establish. So that's the first thing. And then secondly, if that's not the case, it's just always been like that, have you allowed it to be like that so she knows that she'll get a response? So every time she nags you... So you know in the beginning, so it's very much in the beginning, right? I think a relationship is you start liking someone a lot. Right, so you've got plans with the boys, but you actually start cancelling the plans with the boys because you want to see your partner more. Whereas you should still continue to go out with your boys. So your partner has that expectation of you from the beginning of your relationship. So as the relationship starts to go on, okay, maybe you don't feel, I'm not saying you don't feel the same, but you're comfortable now to go out with the boys. But then when you start going out with the boys a lot, they're like, well, you never done that in the beginning. So that's why you can get quite a lot of stick from it as well, I think. But that's because you set up the wrong expectations at the start of the relationship. So there's that side of it. Or is this partner just a complete psycho? What one is it? You know?
So this is the thing, like, to say, should you put bros before women? I won't say the saying. Depends. Because we have to look at what would constitute as a good relationship.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, there's two types of relationships that work. And that is cheerleader, empire builder, or empire builder, empire builder.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, you have, let's just say in a traditional relationship, a male that's out providing and a woman that's supporting the household.
Yeah.
That would be a traditional relationship.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's right or wrong, I'm just saying that's a traditional relationship. You then also have new relationships, which is much more common actually, where you have two empire builders, where you're both out building something for the family and bringing it home.
Yeah.
And you're both involved in that. And like I said, both of these are reversible. Those work because you have a supporter, a true supporter, and a true empire builder, and they're supporting one another, or two empire builders and you're both building something together. Now, Where it falls down and where most people think they're at is that you have an empire builder and a false cheerleader.
Yeah.
And you need to figure out whether or not you've got a false cheerleader. Because a false cheerleader will come out at penalty time and try and pull you off the pitch because her attention is more important than you taking that goal.
Yeah.
And that is not contributive to the total empire.
Yeah.
And in a relationship, if you have someone, both ways, that is more selfish about their own attention than they are about the global benefit for you as a couple, you lose. So in the situation of should you put your bros first or your partner, if she is doing that to benefit herself at the sacrifice of your happiness and building your confidence and going out with your friends, that would be a false cheerleader because she's not there to support you. If she's pulling you and making you feel guilty about work, even though she's had all the attention and everything she needs because she feels like she wants more and it's a detriment to you, your family, you're providing for them, that's a false cheerleader. But if you're neglecting her and she wants it, that's different. You're a false empire builder. And that also breaks down. That's someone using the empire building as an excuse to neglect their support. Not okay either. And the two that work, I said empire builder, empire builder, empire builder, cheerleader. They work brilliantly. But most people have fake ones. And that's where it falls down. So you can't really answer that question of bros before partners without knowing first whether or not you're in a relationship that's already working.
But I do feel like that's a very, very like immature question anyway. Like in a lot of ways, it's a very immature question in a lot of ways.
50-50. Think that men should pay for everything, or should women contribute as well?
Right, so how I feel about this personally is I think it's always nice for... Are we talking about in a first date scenario or just in general in life? Will we cover both? Will we cover both, right? So, me personally, on a first date scenario, I like the person to offer. I do like the person to offer. I'll never ever let them pay because I think it's just nice for them to offer because ultimately you're two people meeting each other and you're getting to know each other to progress into something. So why should one or the other person have to pay for that scenario? So they shouldn't just expect it. That's what I mean. They shouldn't expect the man to pay. But I would always pay. And I don't know, that's how I feel about a first date scenario. What about you?
I think a true male or true man should always be able to pay.
Yes.
Whether they do or they don't. I'll give you a story. I met my wife and our first date, we went to a pub. We had a pub lunch and I was going on quite a lot of dates at the time because I was trying to find someone. Actually, I had a tick list of all the things that I wanted in someone. I was being very clinical with it. I ended up marrying a woman, having 2 kids. It's the best decision I ever made. Best decision of my life was my wife. But on our first date, she's an empire builder.
She is.
She is very driven, and it meant we got to the end of the meal, and she said, I don't like men owing me anything. I want to pay. And I saw that she wanted it enough for me, and I would offend her if I paid and I didn't let her pay. It meant a lot to her. So I said, more than happy for you to. I would more than happily cover the bill and you wouldn't owe me anything, but if you want to pay, I'll get the next one. And she said, okay. We went on another date. I think to start with, we were sharing it back and forth. I was earning more than her, but she made in her own money. And it was important to her that she showed me that she didn't need a man. And I knew that was important to her, as I respected that. So for me, it was important to find someone, and I wanted to also know that it was comfortable for me to pay should I need to. That was important to me. I knew I could pay.
Of course.
I made the financial security from the work that I put in. But in that instance, it's nice that either of us could pay and that she did offer and she did pay because I saw it meant a lot.
And you knew it meant more to her to you to let her pay than
it meant more than it did to me to try and enforce that on her. So actually that worked for me. That's the woman I married.
So it's very, and every situation it can be different.
So this is the thing, guys. It's like no right or wrong answer to that. And I think that it's really important that we take everything at relationship value and we don't listen to generic advice. And we look at things like global outlying morals and ethics like respect, loyalty, the big things, and apply those to the situation.
Absolutely.
Not a specific step-by-step guide of what you should do in each specific situation because it's all contextually different. And human beings by nature are different people. And relationships, when you add 2 people together, change. You take 2 people in isolation or 2 people with 2 different people, they're different partners that they are individually. So you can't apply the same thinking or the same step-by-step guide. So relationship advice is very dangerous.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
dangerous.
Absolutely. I don't think we're even with us today, what we're doing is giving advice. We're just giving our opinions on what we think. Something we noticed this morning when we were just talking about everything based off the last few months. I think that one thing that we actually really thought was nice, that this year's Love Island did kind of come away from the typical like fuckboy thing, and I think that's what we really wanted to. We want to be like role models to younger men, I suppose, is what we're getting at, to what we believe makes a true man.
Okay, on Love Island, what was their opinion on having sex on the show?
Whose opinion?
The producers.
Well, you can if you want.
So the point being is that it wasn't encouraged.
It's not encouraged, no.
So this is the thing. And it wasn't like that was before in shows like that. You see it happening all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to name names with certain shows,
Yeah.
but not Love Island specifically, other shows.
Yeah.
That is like the thing that they
Normal.
were pushing
Yeah.
for and people wanted to see.
But a good thing about Love Island as well, I believe that because alcohol's not involved in that, it's a
The
massive
whole thing,
factor.
they've shifted everything,
Yeah.
right? Whereas all these shows were predominantly about drinking, going out,
yeah.
clubbing, all that kind of stuff. We've moved on.
Yeah, it's positive.
I think it's very positive.
And it's allowing, I think that shows like Love Island definitely do have a younger audience based off that though. Whether that's a positive or a negative thing is a conversation for another day, but I do think that that's allowed the audience to become a lot younger as well. It's a very versatile audience now.
I love that, yeah, and I think that's because it is a nice balance of that, and there is a whole array of ages, thoughts, actions, and things being going on, which is great. What other questions have we got?
A very common question on TikTok, and they're asking if you are Johnny Mitchell. Apparently.
If I'm Johnny Mitchell, he should be so lucky.
Johnny Mitchell?
Johnny Mitchell.
Oh, yeah.
Is it the glasses? I'll take them off. I don't actually need these, by the way.
I don't think you look like Johnny Mitchell at all.
Who's better looking, me or Johnny Mitchell? That's the question.
He's going to go on about that all day now.
Well, all I can say is he's a lucky chap.
Yeah, true.
Like I said, the most important trait of a high-value male is modesty.
Yeah.
Just by the way, and I am better looking than him. If anyone wants us to see or post or do any extra lives on anything, do drop us a message. Even find me on Instagram and drop me a message.
Yeah.
And we'll get it filmed because we've got a videographer here as well for the foreseeable over the weekend.
Yeah.
We're going to try and capture as much as possible. And like, our dynamic is quite nice where Anton comes from very much from a recently more of an entertainment background. He's built brilliant businesses. I come from the background of business and now coming more into this social media world.
Yeah.
And like, we've got like really nice, hopefully, wisdom to offer in and around those things to help.
Yeah.
So any questions, guys, let us know and we'll just try and document what we can while we're here.
Absolutely.
We're going to go out for a blast in what car?
Lambo today.
Lambo
We're in
today.
the Lambo today.
Lambo today.
We're in the Lambo today.
Yeah, we're going.
Yeah, guys, so have a good day and we will keep...
Every day's a good day, by the way.
Every day's a good day.
Every day's a good day.
Every day's a good day. Yep.